Hey guys, it's Serenity. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing modifications on the Denver Double Zip Bag by Pink Pony Designs. This was my last video that I made. Adorable bag. I like the size. I did not like the way the card slots were made, and and the way the front was put together. They put it together the same way I would put one together, but I confused myself with it. So this video was like, anyway. So my version is this bag. It basically ends up being all the same. Let me put you down a little bit so I can just show you. It basically ends up being all the same. I just put it together differently. I did this front panel completely different than what the pattern calls for. We used all the same pattern pieces. I just put it together. I guess, I don't know why I put it to my head out there. I used all the same pattern pieces. I just put it together differently. So, I mean, it's all the pieces are the same. I just did it different. The only thing that is different is I did the card slot different. I wanted to use waterproof canvas. So I will put in the dimensions below what pieces you need. I have them. I wrote them down for myself. I'll be showing those in the video in a few. But yeah, if you want to do it with waterproof canvas, it definitely, for me at least, has a bit of a cleaner look. In this one, I believe I used 809 for the lining, and I know I said in the video it's canvas fabric, but it's cotton. It's quilting cotton fabric, batik, or however you say that. And I used 809. Definitely should have used like SF101 or Woven Fuse 1, something like that. The lining was just, the interfacing was too thick. But waterproof canvas, you don't have to line or interface, I guess. So it worked. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and get straight to the video so you can see how I did my modifications. I have not made the crossbody strap yet for it. I'm gonna do that off camera. No biggie. It's just, I kind of sort of threw this one together. It's just a regular crossbody strap, just a 1/2 inch wide is all. So, okay. Thanks for watching and enjoy the video. Bye. Okay, so today we are going to make my modified version of the Denver Double Zip by Pink Pony Designs. I like the size of this bag. I like the front zipper. It'll hold my phone. I have an iPhone 11 Pro Max, something like that. It's the bigger size. It'll hold my phone. It's just perfect. This is the first one I did. If you watched the video, it was awful. I messed up a bunch. It was, anyway. But I wanted to make these card slots out of waterproof canvas. I did manage to find time to do that before I made this video. So this is what it'll look like, the one side of the lining. It looks so much cleaner than with the cotton, the way I made it in the last video. So I will go over the dimensions that you need to cut to do this in waterproof canvas. And I'm doing the front a little bit different than what the pattern calls for. So if you're wanting to make this like the video we're doing today, you definitely need to buy the pattern so you have the pattern pieces, but we're not really gonna follow along with the directions. Also, I must note, I bought this pattern. I'll move you up for a second. I bought my pattern quite a while ago, and they now have like a newer version. So I don't have the newer version. I'm not going to buy it because I already have this one. So it may be a little bit different if you go and buy the pattern now, just because they may have fixed some things that they didn't like in it. I don't know. They may have updated the pattern. I have no clue, but this is how I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to move you back down. So I have one of the exterior pieces cut out. I believe it's piece A, template A, and I have template B. And the only difference, I'll flip it over so you can see, is on the pattern piece, you fold it down, so this will be a little bit shorter from the top. Okay, those are right. You have another short one cut out of the lining, so one of each of the pattern piece B, template B, one of each, one lining, one exterior. You have 1A out of exterior. You have 3 that you're going to cut out of lining. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then this is where it's going to get a little bit different. I cut 4 zipper tabs. I think in the pattern it says to cut it at 1 1/4 by 1. That would be for these. I didn't. I always cut my zipper tabs at 1.5 by 2. It's just habit. It's what I do. So 1.5 by 2. You'll need 4 altogether zipper tabs. 1.5 by 2. Now for template C, I cut 1 of each, lining and exterior. That's going to be different than the pattern also. Let's see, what else is there? I did not cut my D-rings yet. I will do that, but those will be the same as what the pattern. Let me see. 2.5 by 2 inch. You're gonna need 2.5 by 2 inch of whatever you want your D-rings to be. This is pretty thin vinyl, so I will probably go ahead and use my vinyl pieces. But yes, 2.5 by 2. It says you need 1 of them. 1 2.5 by 2 inch D-ring holders. Yes, I'm assuming we cut those in half or something. That's what the pattern says. So all right, I'm going to pause it right now, move this stuff out of the way, and then I will go over our special added pieces for the card slots. Okay, just so you know, I have my 2.5 by 2 inch D-ring holders. I have that contrasting fabric. And for your strap, it calls for 2 by 18, but I'm going to make mine, this would have been the 2 by 18. It's pretty small. I'm still gonna do the 2 inch, but I'm gonna make it way longer because I want it to be like a crossbody. So I am gonna change that up. I don't know if I'll do it in this video or not. If I have time, I will. I do have to work today, so we'll see. But okay, so move these out of the way. Now, what you're gonna need for my version of the waterproof card slot pockets, this is all of your lining fabric. You want 1 4.25 by 4.5. Don't mind all these marks on here, just I'm holding it up so you get the measurements. Cut 1 4.25 by 4.5. You want 2 3.5 by 4.25. 2 of those. 3.5 by 4.25. And then you'll want 3 by 4.25. I said 3.5 by 4.25, didn't I? I meant 3.5 by 4.5. Okay. I'm gonna completely confuse myself, but yes, 4.25 by 4.5, you need 1. 3.5 by 4.5, you need 2. 3 by 4.25, you need 3. And again, even though that sounded kind of confusing, you can pause the video, write these down, or just look down in the description box below. I'll have them marked in there. I'll write them down. Okay, there are those. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I'm going to figure out how big my zippers are. It says 9 inch, but I'm doing it different than the pattern. So my top zipper, okay, this is the bottom, this is the top. I'm going to be using zipper tabs, and it does not call for zipper tabs. So that's what the difference is gonna be. Let me just grab my ruler. I don't know what I do with it. Okay. So if you measure across the top, it's 9 inches. That's why it tells us to use a 9 inch zipper. I want a good 1/2 inch on each side with no zipper. That way I don't have to sew over my zipper tabs and whatnot. So we know that across the top is 9 inch. Let's make our zipper 8 inch. I'm just putting a mark so I know where to cut. Okay. All right, that's our top zipper. And now we're gonna go ahead and use one of these pieces. This is the top. It has like a bit of an angle to it. We don't wanna measure across there. We're gonna measure across here, which is 9 1/4. I think the pattern, let me check real quick. I think it called for a 8 inch zipper. It did. So right here's my 8 inch, which is good. So I'm good with cutting that at 8 inches. I'm fine with that. The only thing we are going to change is that top zipper. Instead of cutting it at 9, we're gonna cut it at 8. So technically you just need 2 8 inch zippers. So I have those cut. I'm gonna go ahead, I'll move you up a little bit while I do this. I'm going to add my zipper pulls onto here. I wanna take my lighter and just kind of melt the edges really quick so they don't fray. Sometimes they want to fray when I'm putting my zipper pulls on, especially if it doesn't want to, I don't know, if it doesn't want to work for me. The first time I put them on, sometimes they want to be fussy and not work. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these on. Okay, here's one. Let's do the other one. I need to like adjust my prongs. They're like too wide, so it won't hold my zipper pull very well. All right, anyway, there's those. Let me put this away. All right, now we have our zippers. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna move you guys back down here. I wanna go ahead and put my all of my zipper tabs on and top stitch them and all that good stuff. I had to change my thread out because I still had gray thread in my machine, but okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay my zipper tab right side up, my zipper right side down, match up my edges. Mine is cut a little wonky, so I'm just gonna get on there as straight as I possibly can. And we're gonna give it a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Ish. Okay. And instead of cutting the thread, I'm just gonna go ahead and take my next zipper, do the same exact thing, as straight as I can. You're gonna have extra on the sides. I like to do it this way. That way I can trim off the excess and it just looks a little cleaner. Okay. I am gonna cut this because sometimes when you put your zipper pulls on, your zipper gets a little wonky and I don't want a wonky zipper. So like, see when I cut it, it's not straight. I just made sure I lined up my edges as straight as I could. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just unzipping it. And then, so once you unzip it, you can match it back up. And sometimes these tops won't be perfect, but you just want to match up the edges again, like I just did. Zippers can be kind of tricky. If you're new to zippers, it can be a little overwhelming. But once you get used to them, they're not bad at all. Okay, same thing on this other side, just 1/2 inch. Nice and straight. Same thing with the other one. Unzip it. Yep, that one's a little off. I'll show you once I get it laid on there why I do that. Unzip it. Okay, yes. Okay, I get that first side on and then I like to stop and readjust everything. Okay. I was lazy also. I put tan thread for my top stitching, for my top thread, and then I didn't want to wind any more bobbins, so I'm using white for my bobbin. It's fine. Okay, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but see how this end is longer than this end? Because sometimes when you put these on, they end up being a little uneven. So now when I zip it up, it won't have any wonky bubbles or anything. All right, now on all of these, all 4 of these zipper tabs we just did, we're just gonna open them up and top stitch, okay? That's what we're doing right now. This one. Okay. Give me a second. I will trim all of these. This is what we have. All 4 of these, and these are a little bit wider than the zipper. I'm just going to trim those down. That's all I'm doing right now, is just trimming that little bit of extra off so they're perfect. See how they're nice and even now? Do that to the other one. That one was a little close. And they don't have to be extremely perfect. They're going to be hidden in the seam allowances, but I like to trim it off. Just it looks better. It's easier to line up. Okie dokie. Now we have those. We're going to go ahead and start on doing this little front zipper. So we can get rid of one of these. They're the same size, so it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and get our small. This is what we want. These 2 short pieces. I believe it was template B. Anyway, it's the shorter one. Now, of course, the one part with the notches is the bottom. This is the top part. We want our zipper to close to the left. So we're going to put our exterior right side up, our zipper right side down. If you want to find the center so you get this perfectly, you're more than welcome to. I am not going to because, well, that's how I flow. But I am going to try to get a good eye here on how we're centered. I would suggest finding the center, just if you want it to be absolutely perfect. It's definitely the way to go. You see, now I'm thinking I probably should have just found the center, but I already said I wasn't going to, so I feel like I can't go back on what I just said. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and baste. Before we open any of this up, let's move our zipper pull back to the center, leaving this like this for now. You want to take your lining right sides together, okay? But I'm going to flip it over because I want to see that stitch line that I already made. That's all. Go ahead and line up those bottom notches. That way you know you got it on there nice and even, and just clip again. Okay, I got my lining. I just matched up the bottom notches. That way I knew it was all even up here. And now we're going to do 1/4 inch. I just like to see my stitch line for some reason. It's totally up to you which side you want to do it on. This I am doing differently than what the pattern says. Love the pattern, just I'm going to put it together my way. Okay. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and cut these off. I'm not going to. I'm going to wait. So, zip our zipper up. Move everything away from your zipper. So basically, wrong sides together. If you want to clip it, you can. I'm not going to. I'm just going to fold everything away from my zipper. And then we're going to top stitch. If you can iron, I would suggest ironing. It'll help everything lay better. I can't, this is vinyl. I could iron from the wrong side, but I'm just gonna go ahead and sew. Top stitch. If I can figure out what to do with my foot here. I keep wanting to lift the foot and I don't need to do that. Okay. All right, this is what we've got. We just top stitched. All right, go ahead and unzip this halfway. And now we're gonna get our C pieces. This is, again, this is the wrong way, according to the pattern. This is not how it's done. Okay, now this piece is angled. It's a little bit shorter across the top. That's how we want to lay it down to look at it. And then, fold that out of the way. Put it right sides together. So this is right side up, your zipper is right side up. Put this right side down, okay? That longest piece is gonna go across that top edge. And we're gonna clip and baste. Basting is like such a good idea. It just helps everything stay. So, I can hear my dog over there snoring like crazy in the chair. Such a goof. Okay, baste at 1/8 of an inch from the edge or so. All right, let me get my light down here. I can't see. Okay. Move this. Whoa, I almost sewed through that. That would not have been good. Okay. Sometimes it's better just to take those off. There we go. All right. Okay. Now we're going to flip it over. We got our, well, unzip your zipper there. Make sure it's out of the way. Your zipper pulls down. Okay, this is what we ended with. We made sure we unzipped it. Okay, flip it over so you can see your lining. And again, same thing we did on the other side. This is gonna have a bit of a smaller edge on the top. That's what we want it to look like when it's done. Right sides together, just like we did on the other side. Same exact thing, clip. Okay, and now you can sew it from here or from the other side like I'm planning on doing. I don't know why I just clipped it that way. I like to see that stitch line. Okay, 1/4 of an inch. Move the zipper pull out of the way. Okay. All right, and then once again, we're going to move everything away from the zipper. So when you're holding your material, you should be able to see your zipper in between it all. And we're going to top stitch just like we did that bottom part. Okay. So line up your top edge if you need to, just to make sure you get it just right. But we should be good here. Go ahead and top stitch. Now we can cut these extra zipper tab pieces off. This is what we have. And we have these extra zipper tabs. I'm just going to cut those off. Okay. All right, I'm not done yet. We need to take one of our big pieces. They're all big pieces, correct? Yes. We need one of our big pieces, which is A, and we want to put them right sides together. Okay, right sides together, and I'm just going to baste all the way around. And that way when we open it up, the right sides are together and we have a nice little pocket. All right. So I'm going to baste from this side. Throw a couple clips in just so things don't move. One more. All right, let's go ahead and baste. This is where my version is a bit different than the pattern. Just gonna jump those corners. if I would recommend this if you don't have an industrial, or if you have really thick vinyl you're doing this with, because I mean this vinyl is pretty thin, so that's why I'm doing it, because you got 3 layers basically. You have your lining layer, your other lining layers that we just did, and your exterior. So that's, everything's nice and neat on the inside because we did it like that. This is one of your exterior panels. This is the other, so those are done. If you want like a handmade on the front, you should have probably done that before we basted these on and done that anyway. That I will leave up to you. I'm not putting any handmade tags or anything. You can put it on the back if you want right now because we haven't put everything together. But that's our exterior pieces done. Now we're gonna go ahead and go to the waterproof canvas card slots. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and get your 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. Make sure you have it the right way. That's why I wrote on mine, so I can make sure, because it's so close to being the same size. But all right, you want that. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You don't want that yet. You want to take your 3 by 4 1/4, your little card slots, and on one side, we're going to do a 1 inch down line. I'm just using a friction pen on the wrong side of your fabric. So it'll look like this. This is the top. Go down 1 inch, mark a line. We're going to fold over and top stitch. Okay. Basically, we're doing the top stitching right here. We're doing a folded edge, those 3 things. So this is where my handy dandy tape's gonna come in. One. Don't mind the shaky hands if you've noticed. I haven't had breakfast, so I tried recording this video once, and I remember saying it, but I don't know if it was during the last video that I decided not to use, or if it was in this one, and I know you probably don't care anyway, but just letting you know, I should have probably had breakfast, and I didn't, so that's my bad. All right, all 3 of these have the tape and the 1 inch line marked across them. Let's go ahead and remove that tape and fold that edge down to that 1 inch line. If you don't have double-sided sticky tape or can't use it, some domestic machines don't like it, and some industrials, you can fold it over to the line and put a couple clips in it to hold it in place, and then top stitch, it'll stay down. It's, yeah, either way, both ways work. You don't have to have the tape. I'm just gonna fold all 3 of these and then we'll top stitch them. There's 2. Okay, let's go ahead and top stitch these. Okay, next. And last one. Okay. Trim all those threads. I definitely like the look better with the waterproof canvas. I have not put the bag together yet with it. I just did that little piece that I just showed you, but I do think it's going to be just fine. All right, now we have all 3 of these. Okay, now go ahead and grab your 4 1/4 by 4 1/2 inch piece. Make sure you have it sitting correctly in front of you. Get rid of that. Okay, then we're going to go down 1 inch, so you can use your ruler if you like, and lay this first one with your folded edge on top. Go down 1 inch. Okay, I will show you really quick. You can use a friction pen and draw the line if you want, and then lay your card slot on top. This is the top. We went down 1 inch. We are eventually going to be folding this down also and top stitching. That's why we're doing 1 inch. All right, go ahead and do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. If it makes it easier, you can mark a line from the bottom of your card slot up a 1/2 inch and just follow that line. Sometimes that does make it a lot easier. Okay. Okay, there's that one. And then the next one, you're going to go down a 1/2 inch from the top of that fold. And again, I'll show you in just a second. If you want to eyeball it, you can. I just measured a 1/2 inch from here down. And again, I'm going to make my mark so I get a perfect 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay. And then we're just going to do it one more time. But the bottom one, I'm not going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. The bottom one, we're just going to line up with the bottom of our piece and clip. And that's what it'll look like. We just lined it up with the very bottom. And I'm just going to give it like a basting stitch down here. As of right now, this would not work because your card would go in too far. But when we put this together, it will work because, well, you'll see. But by doing this, our card gets lost inside. But all these other ones, given those 1/2 inch seam allowances, your card will stick out. So you can easily grab it. That's but all the further it goes in, you can see your card. That, it will be smaller when we get it all done, just in case you're wondering. Okay, now we need your two 3.5 by 4.5 inch pieces. And we're just going to put them on each side and sew it together, okay? So I am gonna just make sure you have them to where they're even. And I'm gonna put right side up of this and right side down of my card slots and just line up that edge. Throw a couple clips in there. And 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, we'll do the same thing to the other side and then we'll top stitch. Okay, so just open it, move it out of the way. Right side up, right side down. Okay, 1/4 inch. All right, when you open these, make sure your seam is pressing out towards the side piece, anyway. Let's go ahead and top stitch. Ooh. Instead of stopping and breaking my thread, I'm just gonna go ahead and sew across the bottom, following that basting line I already made. Okay, and then right back down. Okay, cut our threads. Awesome. Okay, this is the top, right, up here. We're going to mark a 1 inch down line on the top. So this is the top, 1 inch line down from the top because we need to fold this top to give it a finished edge. And we need to top stitch it. So again, if you don't have double-sided sticky tape, fold it over, throw some clips in there. I do have double-sided sticky tape, so I'm going to use it. Just go right next to that line is where I like to put it. Or right at the top edge, I guess, too. Okay. Go ahead and peel the tape off and, whoa. Fold it down. Okay. I don't know, can you guys hear that? A poor dog. All right, we have a 1/2 inch fold over basically, and this is the top. Let's go ahead and top stitch that edge. All right, there we go. This is what we've got. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and get one of these. This is just one of our lining pieces. And the directions say, this is where I don't know how else to explain it other than to do it the way the directions say. It says that the top of your pocket needs to be 1.5 inches down from the top. Find your centers if you'd like. Don't snip, just kind of give it a little press so you have, you know, a point. I will go ahead and do that. Okay, right here is my center. I will use my friction pen so you can see it visually. It will go away. Okay, so 1.5 inches down. Okay, I'm gonna throw a couple clips in here so it won't move, and then I will show you, explain to you how I did this next part. According to the pattern, this edge is a finished edge also, and all we do is just top stitch across the bottom. We can't do that because we have an unfinished edge. So what I did to resolve that was, using my friction pen, even though no one's gonna see it, I made a line where the edge is. You don't really need a ruler, you can just make a line, okay? Get rid of the clips now that we have our line. All right, this is what you have. Go 1/2 inch up towards the top and make another line from this line, so 1/2 inch. Okay, you should have 2 lines, all right? This first one is where this was when we laid it down, this first one toward the bottom, and we just went up 1/2 inch, okay? So, it's not really confusing, it just looks like it. This is what we want it to look like when it's done, right? We want it to look nice and neat. In order to get a finished edge, we need to put right sides together, so basically just flip that down. This 1/2 inch line that we drew, the one closest to the top, we want to line it up with that. And you should be able to center it fairly well. It'll stick out a little bit on each end. Just make sure you have about the same amount sticking out each end. I'm going to go ahead and use a Wonder Clip down here to kind of keep it from moving. But we're just gonna pick it up and take it straight to the sewing machine. You can't use pins, you don't really wanna do that in waterproof canvas and poke holes in it. So you're just gonna take it to your sewing machine and give it 1/4 inch seam allowance on your pocket piece. Just make sure it stays lined up on that line. Just take your time. Okay, hopefully I explained that well enough. It's easy to me, but I'm not sure if it'll be, you know, easy for you guys. All right, so this is what we have. This is the top of our lining, and this is our pocket. It seems stiff and wonky and whatnot. Just fold it up. You'll be able to erase that last little line right there, don't worry. So we're gonna fold it up as best as you can. I know it's waterproof canvas, it's gonna be a little tough. I'm actually going to go to my ironing board over here and give it a quick iron, mostly just so it'll get rid of this also, but it'll stay. Well, the little red light was on, so it must not have got to it fast enough. The red light on my iron, that is. It kind of shuts off after so long. Anywho's, all right. That's what we have now. We're just going to go ahead and baste these edges and top stitch. But if you want to get it nice and perfect, my suggestion would be to clip these edges so everything stays. And you have to cut your thread more doing it this way, but go ahead and top stitch this fold right here. Let's just go ahead and do that really quick. Do about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. So now you just have this bottom top stitched. We're gonna flip it over because the back of your lining is gonna be smaller because this pocket we made is wider than the lining. So we're just gonna baste these edges now. Like I said, you could have done this differently, but I'm just gonna do it this way because that way you can see exactly where you're basting. I'm gonna flip my clips around though. If you do it from the back side, you can actually see where you're stitching and that you're getting it right by the, I'm just doing like a 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch. Just small enough stitch line to make sure it's stuck on the sides to the lining is all. Oh, I have a gnat flying around my face. All right. All right, so you have your stitch lines. You just basted. I'm gonna cut this extra off right now. Let's do the other side. Okay, awesome. And now the directions tell us in the pattern to sew along these lines also. I didn't in that last video, and I did not like the way it sat inside the bag, so I am gonna go ahead and do that in this video. Again, if you don't wanna stop and start all this to baste, you could sew down the side, start top stitching your fold, come up, back down, continue top stitching, go up, back down, continue top stitching, and then finish basting, and you wouldn't have to stop at all. But I'm just kind of showing you different ways. That way you can follow exactly, you know, you're kind of guessing on the sides, you know, but anyway, let's go ahead and just do this. And then we're going to be ready to put our bag together. Okay. Leave a little extra so I can melt the ends with my lighter. All right, let's do the other side. On that one, but that's okay. I would suggest being a little more careful when you do yours so you get it exactly on top of that line. Yeah, I did fairly good on this one. I got a little off on that one. That's okay. Anyway, now we have 3 different pockets. I don't know why I keep sighing heavily. I don't know. Okay, now it's just a matter of putting our bag together. We haven't made these yet. Let's do that really quick. Our D-ring. Let's get, all right, this is the 2.5. Mine is 2.5 this way by 2 this way. So it's a long ways. I'm gonna put a mark down the center, which would be, goodness, a 1 inch mark. I believe that's how it's done. And then, is that how they did it? I might need 2 of these. I don't know how the pattern did it. I'll pause real quick. Okay, yeah, I'm doing this part a little bit different too. 2.5 by 2, I believe is what it said. Let me double check. Yes, 2.5 by 2. I'm gonna go ahead and make 2 of them. I can always trim them down after I put them in my bag. So these are for the D-ring holders. You want 2.5 by 2 inch, okay? And this is 2 inch across. So we're gonna find the center, which would be 1 inch, mark a line, mark a line. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my sticky tape and put a piece on each edge. So 4 pieces, basically. Okay. These. All right, this is what we got so far. We're gonna peel It was just a car driving by, buddy. If you have extremely thin vinyl like I'm using, you can do it this way. Otherwise, I believe the pattern has you using like cotton fabric. That's why it's having you do this. But normally for D-rings, when I'm using vinyl, I would fold these edges into the center. Then I wouldn't do any more folding. I would just put my D-ring on. My edges are to the center. Normally, I would just put my D-ring on, and there it is, because the raw edges are hidden inside that loop. But we're gonna go ahead and do it like the pattern says, basically, is there's our raw edges folded to the center. We're gonna fold it in one more time, and we're gonna stitch around all 4 edges. And we're gonna do this to both of them. Gonna go ahead and go to the next one. Throw a clip in because it wants to move a little. Okay. Don't have to go around all 4 edges, just those 2 long edges. You won't see the short edges at all, they'll be hidden. Okay. All right, now you have 2 pieces that are stitched on each edge. Now we're just going to put our D-ring, slide our D-ring through it, and fold those short edges together. And there's your D-ring holder. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of baste this closed so it'll stay. These are way longer than we need them to be. I would suggest using cotton, just because a lot of vinyl is really thick, and this might be difficult if you have one of the thicker vinyls. You do you. You can definitely just do what the pattern says for these. This isn't really a hack or a modification, it's just how I'm doing it. Okay. All right, now that these are made, I'm not going to make the strap today, the adjustable strap. I'm just gonna leave that for another day. So I would just follow the pattern for that. Okay, here's our 2 D-rings. Beautiful. Now, we should only have 4 pieces. The pattern does call for a slip pocket type thing on this other side. I'm not putting that in there. I don't want it. So that's why I'm not doing it. So the one lining is just basically plain. The other lining has your card slots on it. You have your back. I'm not using any interfacing on this either, just because there's so much to these. And then our front with our zipper. So we have 4 pieces. I'm putting all this together the way I am comfortable putting it together, so not according to the pattern. Now, the one that has the zipper on it, the piece of lining I want up next to that would not be this, because that would be an awful lot of stuff on one side of the bag. I want to use the one that has nothing, okay? So your basic exterior and your card slots put off to the side. Okay, so really quick, before we put this top zipper on, I kind of messed up. I plan on trimming it out and editing it out of the video, but before we put our zipper on, we need to fold this raw edge in, okay? So this is what it looks like. There's the edge. We want to just fold it in. And that's when you're supposed to top stitch it, but that's fine. We can top stitch right over across that. We want a finished edge for our top zipper. So I'm gonna go ahead and just top stitch that really quick. Make sure it's nice and straight. Oh, I don't know why I'm making this difficult. Okay. Okay, go ahead and fold that other one in and top stitch. Okay. Hopefully my editing skills are good and I can trim that last part out. Okay, so, and now you're like, okay, well, there's this little flappy bit. We're just gonna cut that off, okay? Boop, and it's gone. And the other side too. Just cut it off. We don't need it. No one will ever see it. It'll be inside your bag. Okay, so you want your exterior piece that has the zipper on it, and you want this zipper as well. Both of the zipper pulls closing to the same direction. Find your center snips, line those up, put in a clip. You'll want to unzip this some. Okay. Okay. If you don't want to use your center snips, you can just eyeball it to make sure you have the same amount from each edge. I'll hold it up and show you a sec. Okay. This is why we did our zipper a little bit shorter. We want about a 1/2 inch on each side that doesn't have a zipper. It'll lay better, I promise. Let's go ahead and give it an 1/8 of an inch basting seam allowance here. If I can get it under there. Okay. Start on your zipper tab. Don't start from the edge. Start on the zipper tab. Move that zipper pull out of the way. Make sure the other zipper pull is out of the way too. You don't want to accidentally sew on it. And then make sure you stop on your zipper tab. I've watched other sewers do this too, and it just makes it look a little more cleaner in the end if you stop and start on the zipper tab during this process. Next, we're going to go ahead and do our lining, right side up. Then we're going to take this and put it right side down on top of the lining. So right sides are together. You don't really have to match up any center marks because your linings should match up already. I like to do it like this so I can see my stitch line that I've already made, my basting stitch line. And then this time we're just going to do 1/4 of an inch. Want to get kind of right next to the zipper pull. Make sure your zipper pulls are both out of the way. They're pointing down. All right, let's give her a 1/2 inch, no, 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And you can start from the edge now. This time you can. No, sorry, my bad. Start on the zipper tab. You don't want to start at the edge. Getting ahead of myself. I'm so sorry if you're confused. Start on the zipper tab. Go to back stitching. Take your time. Make sure your zipper pull are both out of the way. Stop on that zipper tab. Don't go past it. Okay. Now, leave this one toward the center. That way it doesn't accidentally get in the seam allowance. Let's zip this up all the way. Put our raw sides together. Go ahead, and I like to clip the bottom just so I know everything is lined up the way it's supposed to be. We're not doing anything with the bottom, we're just clipping it. And the sides also, just so when we top stitch, our fold will be exactly where we need it to be. You'll see once you do it what I'm talking about. So pull everything away from your zipper. You want your zipper to have a raw edge up here and everything else is wrong sides together. Okay. And now, when you top stitch, it should be just right. We're going to top stitch this edge down. Make sure your lining is definitely out of the way. You don't want that fold to be too close to the zipper teeth because then they won't want to open and close. When you top stitch, you can start from the very edge, okay? Just go ahead and do that. Okay, let's leave that so it'll... Okay. Now we can remove all the clips. That just helped us make sure everything was lined up perfectly. Okay. So the top stitching looks like on the inside. Gorgeous. Okay. Move that to the center. Let's go ahead and get your other exterior. We're going to lay it right side up. This one's gonna go right side down so the right sides are together, and just line it up. You can basically tell where it's gonna go. I'm gonna even it up just like we did the other side. I'm gonna hold this a little easier to clip like this. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and baste again. You don't have to baste. That is completely up to you. Okay, 1/8 of an inch, starting on the zipper tab. Okay. Make sure those zipper pulls are out of the way. Stop and start on the zipper tabs. All right, unzip that top zipper to the center again. Make sure they're both dangling down. All right, you're gonna grab your other lining piece, right side up, and then this lining piece right side down, and match them up and clip them. All right, now start and stop on the zipper tab again. You can already see your stitching where you started before, so start there and do 1/4 of an inch. Make sure you check your zipper pulls. Sometimes I say zipper tabs instead of zipper pulls. I hope you understand that I don't mean to. Stopping on that zipper tab. Okay. Same thing. We're going to close. Oh, it's already closed. We're going to open everything up and top stitch. Your zipper, your top zipper that is, should be in the middle. All wrong sides should be together. And I'm going to go ahead and clip the bottom again. In the sides. Just so everything lays nice and flat the way it's supposed to, because I'm using waterproof canvas and sometimes you can't iron it and steam it enough to really get it to lay good and flat. So yeah. All right, just top stitch just like we did the other side. And yes, you can start from the very edge. Just make sure everything's away from your zipper so it closes nicely. We are almost done. All right, get rid of the clips. This is what we've got. Awesome. That looks funny, but that's just because it's unzipped. Okay. Unzip everything halfway. Now we want our front panel. Take everything else away from it. So you should have just your front panel here and then 3 panels here. So 2 linings and your other exterior over here. What we're gonna do is baste our D-rings on. When we put these in, that's why we're making sure everything's out of the way. We only wanna sew it to this. We wanna put it in on this strip that's in between the 2 zippers. And you want the D-ring to be facing in. And they're kind of long. So you decide how much you want yours to stick out. When I did this, I leveled it with the edge. So I put it right on the edge and I sewed. If you don't want it to stick out that far, let it hang out a little bit. Just be mindful that when you're stitching your bag closed where your D-ring probably is. I'm gonna go ahead and keep mine the length that these are, but I'm just gonna angle them a little. And by doing that, when I sew it on, I just wanna give it just a little bit of an angle. You don't have to do it this way. You can line it up on this strip even and just baste it on and call it good. But I want it to stick up just a little, so I'm just gonna angle it just a smidge. Just gonna point it up toward that top zipper just a little bit and baste it on. I will show you once I've done it. It's not even gonna be that big of a difference, honestly, but it's a little. And this is where the industrial machine comes in handy because it is quite a bit depending on your vinyl that you're using. All right. See, it's just angled up just a smidge, not much. I kind of started at the bottom of this fold and angled it up toward the top. I'm just gonna do the same thing on this other side, and then we can put our bag together. Whoops. I better do this the right way so I don't mess up here. Your D-ring wants to point towards the inside. And, okay. Baste this on really quick. Quite a few stitches so it'll stay. Okay. All right, so now your D-rings are attached. Okay, that's what it should look like. Now we can take all our right sides and put them together. So make sure these are to the center. Put your right sides together. All of them. Okay, so linings are right sides and exteriors are right sides together. When we do this, these zipper tabs we did that are attached to our top zipper, fold those in towards your lining. See how it's kind of folded in? Fold those in towards the lining. And then just line up everything. You're going to leave a space on the bottom of our lining to flip the bag through. So make sure I'll show you when I get to it. You do the sides first. One second, make sure everything's even here. Okay. Okay, go ahead and clip the edge of your exterior. We can sew all the way through that. Let's get our lining clipped here. Other side. Okay, your lining you're going to leave her whole, and I'm going to do maybe, I don't know, just 1 inch in on each edge, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, I don't know, depends on how big your hole is. You have your stitch lines from stitching your card slots on. You could go by that and start and stop there, but that's kind of a small hole. I want to leave a pretty big hole, so I'm just going to put a couple clips off to the edge, and I think I'm just going to start like right here. If you want an actual measurement, I'd say 1.5 inches or so. Start here, go all the way around, and end here, leaving this open, okay? So we're gonna do, I can't remember what the directions said. I think it was like 3/8 of an inch seam allowance here, and then 1/4 here. Regardless, you want your seam allowance to be bigger on your lining than you do on your exterior, so it fits inside your bag better. Go all the way to the notch, spin, lift your needle, and then take it to the other side, bring your needle in, backstitch. Always backstitch when you start and stop. You're doing your wider seam allowance here. Make sure you taper it to smaller when you get up here to the center. You don't want to sew over your D-rings or your zipper tabs. You want to sew right next to your zipper tab, but not on it. Back stitching all the way to the notch. Whoop, I went a little too far. Got crazy. Bring your needle down, back stitch, all the way across. Lift it, bring it back over, back stitch. Okay, remember, be mindful of where your D-rings are and your zipper tabs. Back stitching if you need to, and then start making your, doesn't want to go. Start making your seam allowance a little bit bigger for your lining. All the way to that notch. Spin, lift, bring it back over. Okay. You probably didn't hear me, but instead of saying backstitch, I literally just said backspace. Yeah, You're not gonna backstitch. You're gonna backstitch. All right, this is what we got. We have our jump threads. I'm going to clip mine just because, I don't know, just because I want to. You probably don't really have to, but yeah. So let me do that really quick. I am not going to trim any seam allowances. They're all fairly small, so I'm not. But we are gonna go in now and box our corners. So that's another reason you want your zippers to be halfway so you can reach inside. See my finger? Just box these corners. I like to nest mine. So one seam is going to go one way while the other seam goes the other way. Whichever way it works best for the bag and materials you're using is the way I would do it if I were you. And along the bottom, when you box this other one, just make sure your seam is going the same way. So this one, my seam is going this way. So when I box it, I want to make sure it continues going that way just so it doesn't get twisted in the bag. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a clip in it also. It looks funky now because it kind of wants to lean the other way, but it is definitely going in the same direction. So we'll go ahead and do, oops, it came undone. We'll go ahead and just sew these really quick. Don't really need that clip. I'm not being precise with the seam allowance. You'll have to look at your pattern. I'm giving it roughly 1/4 inch, something like that. So in between 1/4 and 1/2, something like that. Doing some back stitching over that seam. Ouch. Okay, here's the bottom. And let's just do the lining now. Same thing. Along the edge, you can make sure it goes the same way. I'm kind of not. I'm just doing whatever the bag is kind of telling me it wants to do in a way. Sometimes with the waterproof canvas, it just doesn't want to lay the way you want it to when it comes to this stuff. So, okay. One more, and then we can turn this puppy right side out. Again, just make sure that seam is going the same way as the other edge. You can give this one a little bit bigger seam allowance on the lining so it fits a little better if you want. Well, you should actually. Okay. All right, now these I will trim just a smidge. They're a little wonky, so let's get a little bit of a trim, just a level them out, level them, whatever, even them, whatever the word is. Okay, good enough. All right, now we have all of our corners boxed. We're gonna go ahead and I'll move you up so I can kind of sit back here. Make sure your zipper's opened all the way. Right now, if you put your D-rings in not as far as me and there's more sticking out, you can cut that off if you want. I don't have that much sticking out for one, but I just don't like to cut them too close to the seam allowance. I feel like it loses its structure and stuff. So I'm not gonna trim this down, but it just depends on how long you had yours sticking out if you wanna trim it down or not. So let's go ahead and turn this right side out. Leaving that hole that big, it makes it a lot easier. Okay. This is a really nice size bag. I really like the size of it. Ugh, okay. Let's go ahead. Usually I like to shove it all in, see if it fits really good first before I finish that final step. This with the D-rings might be a little hard to poke out. Carefully use something not too sharp to kind of push those zipper tabs out. carefully is the word. Whew. Look at those zipper tabs. Oh my goodness. Okay. Look at that. Finished edge compared to that. Like, seriously. I think the new pattern actually has zipper tabs on the top of it now. But like I said, I didn't buy it. Someone mentioned in the comments in my other video that it had zipper tabs, so that's good. All right, looks good. Let's go ahead and pull this back out. And we're just gonna sew this bottom hole up that we left open. Oof. All right, let me put you back down. I'm just gonna fold those edges under. We're gonna clip it. I like to try to get this. Here we go. Sometimes this can be hard for me and sometimes it can be easy. It's just whatever works for me on the day. Okay. There's some clips in here. Looking good. As you can tell, my hole starts right here. When I go to sew, I'm gonna start sewing down here. That way I don't, you know, miss it by a little bit and end up with a hole in the bottom of my bag. So my hole starts here. I'm gonna start stitching here, and the same, I'm gonna end further than where the hole ends, just to make sure that hole gets closed all the way. So let's go ahead and close that. Be sure to back stitch. Okay, sometimes it moves. There we go. We are done, other than the strap, which I am not going to do in this video. So you can melt those ends with your lighter if you want, of your thread. I didn't, of course. I just threw it in there, but all right. So let's zip everything up and see how we like it. Adorable. Cool. I should have probably put the handmade thingy here on the front, but I'm fine without it. I do like this one a little bit better. These are angled a little bit up, and I think when I wear it, it'll sit just a little bit better. At least it looks like I did it on purpose, I suppose. Front pocket, all enclosed because of the way we put it together. And the inside pocket, I definitely like the card slots better in this one. Let's throw some cards in it, and then I will show you again what it looks like with cards in it. Okay. With those measurements, the cards, you can see all of your cards. You can grab each one. Cool. And then this is a pocket, too deep for a card, but you could put cash in there and maybe a little chapstick on each end, or I don't know, something. Those pockets are almost kind of silly that they're there. You could have sewn them shut and just had this pocket, but so yeah, that is this one compared to this one. I love the size, I love it all, but I like my modifications in this one better. Pink Pony Designs, I love your pattern. It's amazing. Maybe the new one isn't like the old one, I don't know. I don't want to download the new one or buy it because I already have it. So, but yeah, awesome pattern to you guys. Thank you, Pink Pony Designs, for making it. I love it. I'm going to wear this, of course, and use it because I like it so much. All right, so yeah, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe if you want, or you don't have to. And hit that bell to get notifications if you'd like to know when I upload more videos. Yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.